Hi everyone, it's day 19 of the Vendée Globe, and I'm joined today by Mike Golding, who needs no introduction. So let's get straight in there and bring him in. Hey Mike, how you doing?
Hi there. Hi, Conrad. Yeah, very well, thanks. Very well.
So interesting sort of last 24 hours really. We've finally seen these boats start to pick up this first Southern Ocean depression, and starting to speed up and finally get out away from this complex high pressure system. Do you
Yeah,
think Charlie will be happy?
I think he'll be very happy, but clearly he'll be looking behind him still because pretty much all the group that dropped to the south are also starting to break through, and certainly the front runners are starting to break through into breeze and get more consistent mileages. So the speeds throughout the front half of the fleet, front third of the fleet, are all up, and they seem to be on the Southern Ocean roll.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a really difficult week for them all. Do you think they'll be tired going into the Southern Ocean?
I don't know. I think that the Atlantic has been difficult, but not challenging. And as a result, I would hope that they've done all their jobs and that they're feeling well prepared to go into the South. I mean, the South, yes, it's proved, even for the people that have had problems, such as Alex and, Thomas, that have had real problems, they have been had time to deal with them, and so consequently, you would hope that by now everyone's pretty much ready to and eager to get on the runway of the south.
Yeah, yeah. They're obviously very tightly bunched, and at the moment you would say it's almost been a bit of a restart. No one's jumped ahead on a full weather system.
No.
Who's catching your eye at the moment?
Well, I mean, it's pretty clear you've got a pretty clear leader, and but looking further back, it's easy to see. I wouldn't discount Alex from putting in some a good effort to be able to catch up. But then again, I did notice today he looked a little slow again. And so while we're not getting any news of that at the moment, I do wonder whether he's not had a recurrence. But maybe the pole caught him in the middle of the sail change. But he was down to 5 knots on the last pole that I looked at, when others around him were doing 18 plus knots. So what? But I have been sitting here thinking, if he's got this repair as good as it seems to be, he's still in with a shout here because the boat has clearly demonstrated its speed. But then you can't discount the steady eddies like Jean Le Cam, still ticking away there, waiting for someone else to break something else, and
Yeah.
he'll be there ready to pounce.
Now you've obviously been in this situation, quite a few times coming into the Southern Ocean. Do you adopt a different strategy from the Atlantic? I mean, you want to get down there in good order, but there's some people might perhaps take it a little bit easier. 4 years ago we saw the difference perhaps between Armel's strategy and Alex, and obviously Alex had a broken foil, so he was having to push hard to keep there. But did you find that you sort of backed off a little bit when you're in the Southern Ocean, or do you just still just play the fleet?
Not really. I mean, I think from our second Vendée going, from 2004, we went into that Vendée with, because we had less sail restriction, we went into that Vendée with a Southern Ocean jib top arrangement, masthead jib top arrangement. So we'd have a Genoa arrangement for the Atlantic, and the big job was changing over from the masthead Genoa to the jib top for the south. And with that configuration, you could pretty much you could put your foot down and not worry too much about damaging sails, for instance.
Yeah.
So we had two different configurations, but in terms of how hard the boat is pushed, you still sail the boat the same. I think personally, I still sailed the boat the same way. I mean, it's a bit like the old question, do you slow down at night? Well, no, it's just like sailing in the day, but with the lights off. And
Yeah.
in the south, it's just like sailing in the Atlantic, except it's the south.
Yes. Yeah, it's I tend to agree. So we're hoping and perhaps expecting Alex to go really well in the south. He's got 650 miles or so to make up. If you were in his situation, would you attack now, or would you kind of let the sort of repairs see how they bed in? I mean, I guess he's got to make up some ground fairly quickly on the
I,
leaders.
I I think the repair is either going to be a complete success or it won't work, and that will reveal itself pretty quickly. And he'll want to know that. He won't want to, get deep into the Southern Ocean, um, and then have a failure. He'll want to have proven it. That doesn't mean he's going to go crazy. I mean, it just means he's going to steadily apply throttle to a point where he feels he's comfortable. And so I'm not suggesting for a moment he'll go crazy. I think he'll be quite sensible in the way he applies pressure to the boat. But the reality is, it's a long way, and we've seen already other boats having problems, other foil boats having problems. They won't. They're not the first, and they won't be the last. And the reality of it is, this is a very unusual compared to the last edition of Vendée, and previous versions, where normally there has been a great breakaway group. Here, pretty much anyone in the first 10 boats has a shout of being on the podium, because it really is in a situation where you just don't know how this is going to play out.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I've just actually brought up the tracker from 4 years ago, which really kind of amplifies what you were saying there. This time round to the day, there was a lead group, and it was really, the Alex and Armel show from this point on. Morgan had just pulled out. There were quite considerable gaps between the fleet, and they were a long way further down the track. You can see this is where they are 4 years ago. If we compare that to their positions now, there must be a
Much
good.
more tightly bunched and much more together. I mean, of course, Apiva has got a good lead. It is a good lead, but it's not by any means a lead that can't be consumed by just a simple. All he needs is a bad sail change or something, and a few hours fishing a sail out to sea, and he'll be, he would be caught up very quickly.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and likewise, we linked out. I think his problems with his foil, and he's now chopped 2 meters off his foil to reduce the load on it. And of course, that will theoretically compromise him, but I think it will compromise him more on the way up from the south than in the south. The reality is it's still a pretty fast boat, and it's still going to go pretty fast. And the difference with having the foil versus having using the canting keel, he'll have to sail in two different modes. When he's on the foil side, his canting keel will be near zero when he's foiling, and when he's on the broken foil side, he'll use his canting keel like a normal
and
non-foiling
his
IMOCA,
ballast as well.
and maybe his ballast as well. So he'll have to have two different sailing modes, one for with the foil and one for without. And he won't be slow. He won't be falling miles behind, because he'll be able to be on that side, driving the boat hard, and he'll be able to put his head down and get some rest, where Apivia is going to be watching for the boat taking off waves and breaking the foil or breaking something else.
So let's have a quick look at the forecasts over the next few days. The great thing is we can just do it straight from here now. So that's 24 hours from now. I guess the race here is to just stay ahead of the cold front and in the flatter water, and not fall off the back of it. But I think by Sunday, which is here.
It's, it's moving pretty fast. Of course, this is where you get the kind of bungee effect, though, because no matter how hard you push, you'll just hang on a little longer. You will increase the gap, but you'll be further away from the next system that you can see now coming in on the left-hand side of the screen. So the back markers, the people that haven't pushed too hard, will pick that breeze up first, will accelerate first, and so the bungee draws the fleet back together again. But you're right. It's you fight and scrap and scrabble to keep every inch of ground that you can, and the further you can get along, the longer you can stay in the stronger weather, and that's how the Southern Ocean works.
48 hours ago, 2 giant multi-hulls set sail, so we've got them to follow as well, and I've just got their tracker up here. So we've got Edmund de Rothschild and Sodebo. They're literally just over 2 days in now, left on an absolutely ideal forecast to race around the world in under 40 days. Any thoughts on their progress so far?
Well, I mean, these boats are just staggeringly fast. I'm just looking at the image you've got up there, and I guess that's IDEC behind, so that's the existing record. And the 2 boats, that Gitano and Sodebo, are literally one over the top of the other, so you can't, they're literally supplanted on each other. So they're very quick. You did mention earlier, how far ahead of the record are they?
They're at the moment 200 miles.
So they're 200 miles ahead they've only been going a few days. So, wow, it's definitely doable. They just need, like everyone, you need a bit of luck to get round without damaging a foil or breaking something to prevent you doing it. But for sure, it's going to be done.
It's nice that they actually left pretty much at the same time together, and they obviously got each other for company and for safety. But we're going to have this sort of real match race between these 2 around the world, which could be really fascinating.
Well, what's interesting is Sodebo seems to be doing pretty good, because Sodebo's not really shown best potential compared to Gitana. But I mean, right now they're going real well. So they've got something right at the moment on Sodebo.
I just turned the volume down there. Say again, Mike.
I hope that was a drone and not a rib. I wouldn't want to be in that rib. Wow, they're amazing, aren't they? Aren't they fantastic, eh?
They really are, and obviously they've both been trying to optimize themselves to be able to fly offshore in most conditions. But to think that come January they'll be back in the Atlantic and coming home if there's no breakages.
Yeah, amazing, beautiful as well. So
really, really good. It looks pretty good for Charlie. I think at the moment, he's had a bit of everything now. He must have some confidence in the boat.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that luck element. He just needs that to run with him. And Linked Out has shown us was clearly just as good a boat. But if you hit something, then it's game over. Or if not game over, but you're going to have to deal with it. And both Alex and Thomas have dealt with their problems and just got on with the race, which is very encouraging. And still we're in the situation where the boat's actually arriving in the south with only one retirement, which is pretty extraordinary. I think that's pretty unusual.
So that was Mike, again, giving us the benefit of his 4 Vendée Globes and experience. It's all to play for. There's a whole bunch of boats that are right up there in this race, and unusual. No big breakaways. No one sort of leaped ahead on another weather system. So let's just see how the next few weeks go. But certainly all to play for. Thanks very much for listening, and see you next week. Cheers.